Celebrations are funny things, aren't they? Sometimes they are small, just a few friends, a cake. Other times they are enormous, truly vast. Imagine one so big it wrapped around the entire planet. This is about that one, the biggest of them all. It happened not so very long ago, really. A time when the world decided to smile, all at once. It was quite something. You might not believe it, but it happened. Think about the biggest party you've ever been to. Was it noisy, full of laughter, colorful? Now, try to picture that feeling, but everywhere, across every town, in every city, on every continent. This wasn't just one nation having a good time. Oh no, this was different. This was the whole world, together, sharing a single, sparkling moment of pure joy. It was a bit like magic, to be honest. This grand event wasn't for a king or queen. It wasn't for a famous victory in some far-off land. It was simpler than that, and much bigger. It was for a new beginning, a shared hope. People felt a change in the air, a feeling that something good was about to happen. Or perhaps that something good was already happening, just by being together. That was the real marvel of it. This incredible celebration had a special name. Well, people called it many things in many languages, but most remember it as the Millennium Eve Grand Unison. A rather grand title, you might think, and you would be right. It was grand. It marked the turning of a page, a new chapter, the end of 1,000 years, the start of another, and everyone, it seemed, wanted to be part of it. It was simply too big to miss. So when did this astonishing thing occur? It was on the very last night of 1999, December 31st, a date many of us know. As the clocks ticked towards midnight, one by one, the world prepared for something special. It was a night unlike any other before it, a global countdown, a shared breath held, then an explosion of happiness. It swept across the globe, time zone by time zone. And where did it happen? Well, that's the best part. It happened everywhere, literally everywhere. From the smallest, most remote Pacific island to the bustling streets of London, New York, and Tokyo, people gathered in famous squares, Times Square, Trafalgar Square. They gathered on beaches. They gathered in their own homes. Little villages had their own parties. Big cities had enormous ones. There wasn't one single spot. The whole planet was the stage. It was a truly global phenomenon. Imagine the scene. As midnight struck in Samoa, the first cheers went up. Then, like a wave, the celebration rolled westwards. New Zealand joined in. Then Australia. Fireworks painted the sky above Sydney Harbour. Then Asia lit up. Europe danced. Africa sang. Finally, the Americas joined the enormous party. For 24 amazing hours, the Earth was a festival, a continuous, rolling celebration of being alive. It was beautifully, perfectly coordinated by time itself. What made it so special was this feeling of connection. Even if you were in a tiny hamlet in the countryside, you knew that millions, no, billions of others were celebrating too. You could almost hear the distant cheers. The television showed pictures from all over. People saw faces they didn't know, speaking languages they didn't understand. But the smiles? The smiles were universal. Everyone understood the smiles. It was quite remarkable. How did so many people join in? It seemed almost spontaneous. There wasn't one single organizer, no grand committee. It was more like an idea whose time had come. The idea of marking this moment, together. News channels talked about it for months, of course. Newspapers wrote endless articles. The internet was buzzing. But the real joining came from people themselves. A desire to be part of something bigger, a feeling that this was important. People from different places found ways to connect. Some traveled. They flew across oceans to be with family, or to experience the celebration in a famous city. Others stayed put, but they reached out. Phone lines were jammed with calls of goodwill. Early forms of social media saw messages zipping around. Strangers greeted each other on the streets. There was a warmth, a sudden lovely openness. Old grudges seemed to fade, just for a little while. Music played a huge part. Oh, the music. It poured from every window, every radio, every television. Local bands played in town squares. Great orchestras performed in grand concert halls. People sang traditional songs, they sang new songs, and of course there was dancing. So much dancing. People danced in the streets, they danced in their living rooms. It didn't matter if you were a good dancer. Everyone just moved to the rhythm of shared happiness. And the food. Imagine a global feast. Communities organized street parties. Neighbors brought dishes to share. The smells of cooking from every culture filled the air. Spicy curries next to hearty stews. Sweet pastries beside savory pies. People shared their traditions. They tasted new things. Games were played. Children shrieked with laughter. There were light shows, parades, impromptu performances. It was a kaleidoscope of human creativity and fun, a feast for all the senses. So, how did people feel during this amazing time? The overwhelming emotion was pure, unadulterated joy, a kind of lightness, as if a heavy weight had been lifted. There was excitement, certainly, the thrill of a new era, but underneath it, there was something deeper, a sense of profound connection to everyone else. People felt hopeful, optimistic, genuinely happy. Smiles were everywhere, real, heartfelt smiles. It was an emotional roller coaster in the best possible way. The air buzzed with a unique energy. Strangers hugged each other. People who had never spoken shared a laugh. There was a feeling of unity, of shared humanity. For that brief period, differences didn't seem to matter so much. What mattered was the shared experience, the collective cheer. It was as if the world had become one giant family, holding hands and stepping into the future together. This feeling was powerful, it was infectious, and it left a lasting impression on everyone who felt it. Remembering this celebration is important for us today. Why? Because it showed us what is possible. It showed that humanity can come together, that we can share moments of incredible peace and goodwill. In a world that often feels divided, that's a vital lesson. The Millennium Eve Grand Unison was a beacon, a reminder that our shared hopes can be stronger than our fears. It set a benchmark for collective joy, a testament to the simple power of celebrating together. It teaches us that even in complex times, joy connects us, that celebrating our shared existence is worthwhile. It reminds us of our capacity for kindness, for understanding. The echoes of that global party still resonate. They whisper that unity is achievable, that hope is essential. So when we think back, we remember the laughter, the music, the light, and we remember that feeling, that wonderful feeling of being one world, together. And that is something worth holding on to.